You ain't nothing but a hound dog. So, you want to be a star. You want to be a famous artist, a musician, and you want the lights, the fame, the money, and all of it that comes with it. There's a lot that comes with being a musician, particularly a fairly successful one, and dabbling within the industry itself. Fortunately, and unfortunately, I got to a point where I got to see a little bit behind the gates, and then when I did, I decided to scrap it all. I've been pursuing music for about 10 years plus. I started off making music in my bedroom like pretty much any other musician. I got fairly big. I've made over 1 million streams on Spotify with my own music videos, hundreds of thousands of streams. I built a pretty decent platform with music in the past. And until it was when I actually started working with people within the industry itself, was when I realized that this was not for me. Here are a few reasons why. Really quick, what you're about to hear is just my personal experience, and it shouldn't discourage you from pursuing the thing that you absolutely love, if it is music. In fact, there are many reasons to keep continuing. This is just what happens when you try to take it a step further and deal with the actual business side of it. In fact, you can still do a lot on your own without stepping foot behind those pearly gates. The first thing is that you have to love music enough to do it for free for a very long time. And even if you get fairly successful, you probably still won't get paid that much, which we'll get into a little bit later. But when you first start, you'll probably start off in your bedroom, and a lot of people will probably doubt you, and a lot of the first things that you even make will sound absolutely terrible. It doesn't even matter what genre it is. You could be a rapper, you could be doing EDM, you could be just a general singer, right? But the first few, I don't know, 50, 20 songs probably won't even sound good at all. And to even get past that first barrier will take a decently long time to get past it. However, when you do get decent and you're making stuff that actually sounds fairly good, again, you're probably going to have to stick to a day job or live somewhere where you can afford to sink hours and hours, if not weeks, if not months, if not years, into producing and mixing and singing and rapping or whatever it is on your own with no pay for a very, very long time. Oftentimes, people will get into music not because they actually like the music, they just want the fame and attention that comes with it. And there are many other ways to get fame and attention other than music, and they're a lot easier. Just do TikTok dances or be a travel influencer. Even those things would be easier than actually gaining general publicity just by making music itself. Because the truth is, most of the enjoyment will actually just come from making the music itself. Because making music itself is actually a really hard thing to do. And if you've ever tried, you will know. You will have to do the same vocal take over and over and over again, plus 30 to 50, 100 times. You're going to have to be tracking instruments if you play instruments. You're going to have to be either paying people to do it for you. You're going to be, after one song, you got to move on right on to the next. And then if you get somewhere, you're going to have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and practically for free for a very long time. And keep in mind, when you're doing this, there is no guarantee for success, particularly in the music industry. You'll hear a lot of things online, people saying, as long as you keep doing it, they will come, and the success will just naturally follow. A lot of it is general luck, and a lot of it has to do with the second thing, which is you're selling your image, not the music. Especially in today's world, more so in today's music landscape than ever. You are selling your persona and your image and your personality behind it more than the actual music, which is why you can argue that a lot of music itself isn't that great anymore, because people are connecting with the actual person behind it more than how the music itself sounds. So, if anything, if you want your music heard, it's probably better to learn more about branding and personal image than it actually is on how to make music, because also you have to take into account, especially with today's tools, with autotune, self-generated whatever samples, how AI is going to come into the picture, the actual sound of the music is going to be easier and easier and even easier to make. However, what will be, I guess, timeless in this situation is how you present yourself image-wise, persona-wise, and everything else in between. Because at that point, oftentimes you can create absolute garbage and people will just naturally gravitate towards it because of the particular image that artists will present themselves to be. However, this can also become a trap because once you've actually solidified that image, you're going to have to stick with that image for as long as you can while the interest is still there. And if you choose to reinvent yourself, you're going to have to cross your fingers that your general audience will love it and they'll stick with you because most likely, if you do change, they will drop off. On top of that, if you do get your foot in the actual industry itself, labels often are not interested in the most talented musician. They are interested in the most marketable one. One thing to look at any successful artist within any genre, even no matter how big and successful they often reflect something that a general demographic already has, whether that be fashion or anything else. Labels take notice of this, and they will only invest in an artist that they know can actually reach a mass audience. Okay, so say now you've been grinding on music for free, spending hours and hours, weeks, months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you finally get traction online. There you have some fans, you have a social media platform. Now is when you get the eyes of people in the actual business. You have to do all of that work yourself, from recording the song to mixing it to mastering to marketing to building your own platform to building your own persona. You generally have to do all of these things yourself, and then you'll get the attention of potential people in the industry, whether that be a label, a manager, more agencies, whatever else. Finally, you get their attention. And this often becomes a point, a huge landmark in a musician's career to even not only get noticed by a label, but to potentially even sign to a label. I know when I got signed, I couldn't believe it because I've been doing it for so long. And then on top of that, get even the attention of a label was like, wow. And then to officially sign the thing, all officially, and all those things, I thought I won. I thought I was on top of the world, and that was pretty much it. Because actually, generally, when you sign to a label, it doesn't end. If anything, it's kind of downhill from there. That's kind of a cynical view, but let me explain. If you get signed, hell, when I got signed, they even offered to buy my past catalog. That was the only music, a large amount of money that I had ever had from music in the years that I've been doing it. So that was already a huge victory that they were willing to even pay for it. But when you sign, generally, it doesn't automatically guarantee a pay, money, or sustainable income at all. If anything, it's quite the opposite. I'm lucky that I never got into the situation. If you watch any documentary within the music industry, every artist will complain about this, and you'll break down how the industry actually works. And without boring you, you're basically signing up to debt. Any money you personally make from your own music, whether that be from selling merch, whether that be from touring, whether that be from online streaming, whatever else, all of that money will go automatically back to the label. So, in summary, the label will forward $100,000 to the artist. The artist ends up buying really amazing clothes. They perhaps might buy some really cool cars, and they'll put a bunch of that money into more studio time to make music videos, eventually, hopefully, to make merch, but also tour. That's $100,000. And you think that artist is super rich now because you see their image, you see the clothes, you see their look, all these things. They're flexing about money in their music, whatever, right? All that money that that artist initially got, that $100,000 will be going back to the label to pay it all off. So all that money that you did make from those streams, the t-shirts, and the touring is actually all slowly going back to the label to pay it all off. So you're technically not making any money at all. If anything, you're making way less than somebody with an average job. Because in order to work within this industry and infrastructure, you are basically signing up for lots of debt. In fact, I don't know the exact numbers, but something crazy like 90 to 99% of artists never actually get to pay the entire amount back to the label because usually it's some crazy, crazy amount. So, say if you did get signed to a label or you rejected it and you want to go independent, to make money off of your own music still at this point is quite difficult Because even though you don't have that debt of a label, perhaps you have a manager, perhaps you still have an agency, perhaps you have a team working with you. You get to pay all those people off. And also, the streaming, you literally get paid 0.00001% of every Spotify stream. In order to sell t-shirts, you don't really make that much off of merch. To tour, to pay for like renting out the venue and then like getting all these things in line, it's a lot of money that you have to put down now, basically out of pocket because you're not working with a label. In fact, I remember watching some other YouTuber and she was describing that she lost $50,000. She basically paid $50,000 to tour and she still hasn't made it back, which is super sad. Hell, it even goes to successful and big name artists. Why do you think Rihanna pivoted to makeup entirely? Because even them, they have a hard time making music in the end, and often the music itself becomes more of an advertisement for the actual brand, the personal brand, and the persona in order to sell something else in the end. But let's go back to the actual industry. The industry, specifically within music, is full of snakes. You'll hear this in every decade of music. Every musician talks about it. No matter how big or small, the industry itself, the people that work within it, you never know what they're up to. It's full of manipulators, scammers, liars, control maniacs. Like you really don't know who's actually genuine, that's actually there for you, and most of the time they just want your money or your clout. So whether that be managers to even producers to agencies to labels to potential investors, they will basically say anything to gas you up to potentially take anything out of you, whether that be the publicity that you have, maybe they want a bit of it. Hell, it's mostly about the money. If you have money, they'll get a bit of it as well. They'll do anything. And when it comes to musicians, artists and creative types, often we're very sensitive and sometimes we can be very easily trusting and we have high hopes and we're a bit delusional because in order to make art, you have to create an imaginary world, aka you have to be a little bit delusional. So perhaps you fall into certain relationships that completely screw you over because you didn't have your guard up or you were a bit naive and or maybe there was just so much chaos going on around you that you just really needed help and then you signed up for this thing and then music no longer becomes music, it becomes you swimming with sharks and you did not sign up to be a scuba diver. And now, say if you got lucky and you're experienced enough to actually attract a trustworthy team, a manager, and even a label that has your back. Now you have to deal with potential fame and the success and the potential money that actually might come to you. The manipulators, the two-faced people, the fake people, that doubles in amount. But then also the people within your own life and other people coming in, all the relationships start changing. When you start getting successful and you start getting more attention and people are paying attention to you, your status on the social hierarchy, that invisible thing, that mysterious thing, you climb up the ranks, meaning that a lot of people will end up resenting you and they start treating you differently. That could be friends, it could be family, people you've known for years, and you can just sense a shift in the dynamic. You, on your own, personality wise, either hasn't even changed, but people around you are changing, or you could end up changing and not even realize it because now you're super successful. You've been grinding for 10 years and people have just been shitting on you for so long and you never got the recognition that you've always wanted. So then what happens to you mentally? You might not be able to handle it, or your ego just shoots through the roof because this is the one thing that you've been chasing your whole life and you've been undermined for. And then now that you get it, your self-worth, you feel validated, and sometimes it can spiral out of control, especially if you have people around you that are constantly saying yes, and you have, people gassing you up, and whether that be from the label itself or, you hire a team of people, they have to basically gas you up and keep your confidence at a high in order to manage everything. And if you climb this ladder to a point where you actually do get famous and you are successful and you make the money, the people that originally perhaps were fans of you, they shift their perception of you too. And then this is when the entire dynamic changes. Basically, now the people that wanted you to succeed, they want you to fail now. It could be people online, your general audience, hell, people that are really close to you. They are just waiting for you to slip up so they can take you down, or you just take down yourself. Okay, so say you made it. You made that viral song, it went viral on TikTok, and then your music videos are doing well, and you even have a song charting, right? That is literally just the beginning. Because if you have one viral song, that will most likely last, I think these days, a week, let alone a month, right? It used to be a lot longer before, but now with social media and short form content, your song most likely will decline in relevancy quite quickly depending on how big it got and how fast it got there. Now, you're gonna have to somehow craft another viral hit or a potential album that does really well, and most people don't have the time to invest themselves in an album. And then you're gonna even have to stay relevant personality and branding and persona wise, which is why you see people like, for example, Kanye constantly doing controversial things and making headlines because he knows that if he does something controversial, people will write about him and make videos about him, and then he'll drop an album basically shortly after. And most people are absolutely not made to handle that amount of negativity and controversy in order to stay relevant. So to stay relevant purely because of your music is a very, very difficult thing to do these days. So basically, if you don't follow up with your initial hit fast enough and good enough, they will immediately lose interests. You hear a lot these days about TikTok artists that blow up, but then when they actually book out a venue to play a show, no one shows up, or like 20 to 50 people show up, which is basically the same if you were just to play a cover band in a dive bar. But this same person has over 3 million streams. It's absolutely insane. Basically, maintaining your persona and your relevancy is more than a full-time job. It becomes your identity. And most artists end up burning out severely just trying to keep this up. And another thing on top of that, say you do have the attention of the masses and you are public and you can make viral hits over and over and over again, and you are on top of the world. One day, some person on the internet decides to dig through your past history. It could be an embarrassing photo of you, an embarrassing video of you. It could be the fact that maybe when you were 15 and then some person got on your Twitter and tweeted something really nasty. Hell, it could have been actually you around that time, because who knows any better at 15, right? Now you have not only the masses, potential media, basically trying to find everything about you to tear you down. And if you are not emotionally equipped to handle that, and if you're doing it on your own and you don't have a team and people are attacking you constantly and they're trying to tear you down because now you're at a certain level, well, good luck. It's really, really hard to deal with. You came into this world because you just wanted to make music because you loved it. You wanted to find other people that could relate to you through your music. You were very pure with your intentions to get into this world of music. But you didn't realize nowadays, especially with social media and everything else, what you just walked into. Whether that be a corrupt music label, a manager that takes all of your money, a producer that doesn't do what he needs to do or whatever, or you have an audience that basically turns against you. All these things you did not prepare for, then you have to make the money off of it. You have to keep the persona and identity intact. You have to do all these things, and you're still not able to make a full-time income. You still can't really live off of it. Now you're in more debt, and you're basically trapped in a golden cage. Now, do you still want to pursue music as a career? Let me tell you, that sounds all doom and gloom, which it is, because I've already been through it all. However, if we end up on a positive note, as hard as that might be, you actually don't need the industry or any of those people to continue pursuing music on your own. It's actually still technically easier and more possible now to make income through music with social media and other avenues than it has been ever in the past, still to this day. Think about it. If people can make a million streams and gain a ton of followers and subscribers just by doing a little silly dance, your music can probably take off just by posting it consecutively and consistently over time. I was able to do it purely through YouTube and all of those things. I got a decent fan base through my music because I started pursuing music through YouTube, but also I was making YouTube content that funneled to my music. And in fact, I believe I got more streams on my actual Spotify and my YouTube purely on my own than anybody in the actual industry assisting me. If anything, getting signed to a label, being approached by a manager, and these agencies approaching you, it's more like a stamp of approval than actual assistance. But for example, say if you wanted to make music a career or living in the end, there are many avenues, but you're probably going to have to give up being the next Weekend or any big name artist. You could make music for sync licensing, aka to get into movies and TV shows. You could even do royalty-free music. You can just stick with playing local gigs and cover bands. Like that is, you shouldn't be ashamed of. You get paid to sing the greatest hits and people all love it. You can become a DJ. You could still do many things with music. You could stream it, just whatever. You can do even music gear reviews. There's so many other ways to approach music where you can actually make a living off of without dealing with all of the sketchiness of the actual music industry. Hell, you don't have to talk to no Illuminati, you know what I mean? So basically, I was able to make it on my own before I met anybody. But the moment I let the industry in, it almost destroyed me. In fact, it almost completely warped my dream of becoming a successful artist and musician. And it went as far as to ruining my perception of people dealing with manipulators and fake people. And then I was, obviously, like, you want to live and pay rent and eat and all these things. And this world will give you a very hard time to make a full-time living with. Honestly, if you're still at a position where you're just enjoying making music, even if you don't make money off of it, you're still in a very good place. Because for me, after trying to pursue this thing for so long, working so hard, sinking so many hours, and then when I made it, I basically got traumatized with relationships with people, with my own idea of who I am, being stuck in a persona, being the meltdowns that come with the pressure of keeping up virality, the relevancy. It basically made it really hard for me to even enjoy my passion for making music. In fact, like, I still don't know how I feel about making music itself. I mean, I got really close to quitting so many times. In fact, now I'm like, do I even still like making music? I've had to relearn how to enjoy my passion because I tried entering the business behind it. So, if we could end up on a positive note, if you enjoy making music, make it because you enjoy it. As cliche as it sounds, once you start approaching it like an actual business and making it your work or trying to make it your full-time income, the very thing that you love might turn into an actual monster. So appreciate it while you still have it. So there it is. That's what to expect if you want to make music your living and you want to actually enter the music industry itself. It's me, Pierre, here at Pierre 5D. But then, yeah.